You ever notice how we get this idea stuck in our heads? That helping is always good. That saying yes means you're kind. That giving endlessly makes you spiritual. Think about how you learned this. From childhood, people showed you that good people never pause. They never set boundaries. If you do, something's wrong with you. You're called selfish. You're called unkind. But consider this possibility. What if needing to fix everyone isn't love at all? What if it's actually getting in life's way? Think about it like water flowing. If you keep moving rocks from a stream, you don't help the water. You prevent it from finding its own path. When you rescue someone from their actions, you aren't helping them grow. You're keeping them from learning what only experience can teach. Now, I'm not saying become cold. That's just another extreme. The real question isn't whether to care. It's how to care wisely. And who truly deserves your energy. Because some people will take everything you have. They'll keep taking, and your giving never fills them. The real tragedy. You're stopping their growth by always giving. Let me share 7 kinds of people you'll recognize. Not to judge them, but to protect your own energy and allow them to face what they need to learn. First, the always lazy person. See the difference between someone trying and someone who stopped trying. A struggling person uses your help like a stepping stone. The lazy person uses it like a hammock. They've decided deep down that life is too heavy, that someone else should carry their weight. And when you help, you become that someone. Not because they can't do it, but because they found someone who will. Look at nature. A bird doesn't feed a chick that won't open its mouth. A tree doesn't keep feeding a branch that bears no fruit. Nature shows us clearly, what doesn't contribute gets cut off, not from cruelty, from wisdom. The lazy person always has reasons. A hard past, bad luck, unfair life. Some may be true, but ask yourself this. What are they doing right now? Any small step toward change, or just waiting for someone to fix it? When you help someone who won't help themselves, you take something precious. You take away their own satisfaction. You steal the strength that comes from overcoming. You rob them of discovering they are capable. Maybe you've carried someone for years, paid their bills, solved their problems, cleaned their messes, and each time, you told yourself you're being kind. But what if your kindness is actually keeping them weak? What if your help stops them from standing alone? The lazy person needs to feel hunger. They need discomfort. They need to face their choices. Because only when staying the same hurts more than changing will they finally move. Second, the never grateful person. You know this type. They receive a great gift and act like it's nothing. You give your time, your money, your heart. They take it without a thought. No thanks, no recognition, no appreciation at all. This isn't accident, it's their character. Gratitude isn't just manners. It's a sign someone sees they're part of something bigger. A grateful person knows gifts aren't owed. They're given freely. So they treat them with care. But the ungrateful person believes the world owes them. Your help is their right. The more you give, the more entitled they become. Strange, isn't it? The more you pour in, the less they value it. I knew someone who paid a friend's rent for half a year. Month after month, he gave up his own comfort. And how did the friend respond? He complained. The apartment too small. The neighborhood not nice enough. Others had more. Not one thank you, not one acknowledgement. When the help stopped, guess what happened? The friend got angry, felt betrayed, as if the help was a debt called in unfairly. This is the ungrateful nature. They don't see kindness. They see weakness. They don't see generosity. They see opportunity. They'll take until you have nothing left. Helping them isn't planting seeds. It's throwing them into a bottomless pit. No matter how much you throw, it never fills. Third, the proud and self-righteous person. Some people don't want your help. They want your approval. They don't want your wisdom. They want you to confirm what they already believe. If you offer anything that challenges their view, they reject you completely. The proud person doesn't lack knowledge. They have too much pride. They believe they already know. Their way is the right way. Anyone else is wrong. Pride is a curious thing. It looks like confidence, but it's really fear. The proud person is terrified of being wrong. Their whole identity is built on being right. If they admit they need help, their self crumbles. So they defend, they argue, they reject. You can't help this person, not because they're beyond help, but because they don't believe they need it. Until they realize it themselves, anything you offer is wasted. Even wise teachers walked away from such people. They didn't chase them, they didn't beg. They said what needed, said, and moved on. They understood something important. You can't force wisdom on someone committed to foolishness. The proud person must fall. They must face their pride's consequences. They must hit the ground hard enough to look up and see they don't have all the answers. Only then, when humbled, when broken, will they be ready for help. Fourth, the habitually wicked person. I want to be careful here. We live in times that avoid words like wicked. We prefer softer terms, troubled, misunderstood. But some people aren't confused. They know what they're doing, and they do it anyway. The wicked person isn't someone who makes a mistake. We all make mistakes. The wicked person has made wickedness their way of life. They lie, cheat, manipulate, harm others without remorse. When confronted, they don't repent, they justify. When you help a wicked person, you become part of their actions. You enable their behavior. You give them resources to keep doing harm. And they will use what you give not to change, but to go deeper into wickedness. There's a reason wisdom traditions warn against supporting those who do evil. Not from lacking compassion, from recognizing some have chosen a path to destruction. If you try to pull them off, they'll pull you onto it with them. The wicked person doesn't want to be saved. They want to be empowered. They want someone to fund their schemes, cover their lies, clean their messes. If you step into that role, you aren't helping them. You're partnering with darkness. Fifth, the incurably foolish person. A fool isn't someone without intelligence. A fool is someone who refuses to learn. They make the same mistakes repeatedly. They ignore advice. They reject wisdom. They touch the hot stove again and wonder why their hand is burned. The difference between wise and fool is simple. A wise person learns from experience. A fool does not. This is especially hard because the fool comes to you in distress, in crisis, desperate. Your heart goes out. You want to help. You want to rescue. But look at their history. You'll see a pattern. This isn't their first crisis, not their first rescue. They've been here many times before. Each time someone helped, they went back to the same behavior. The fool is like a drowning person who refuses the life preserver. They thrash and splash and go under. If you jump in to save them, they'll pull you under too. You cannot save a fool. Only life can teach them. Only their actions' consequences can break their stubbornness. If you keep intervening, you prevent those consequences from working. Sixth, the master manipulator. This may be the most dangerous because they're hardest to recognize. They don't come with demands. They come with stories. They don't take directly. They make you want to give. The manipulator understands human nature. They know good people want to help. They know kind people feel guilty saying no. They use this like a weapon. They tell you what you need to hear. They play on your emotions. They make you feel special, needed, important. Before you know it, you're doing things for them you'd never do for others. The manipulator changes shapes. With one person, they're the victim. With another, the hero. Their story changes with who they're talking to. If you compare notes with others, the stories won't match. When you help a manipulator, you aren't helping someone in need. You're feeding a system. You're giving resources for their games. The moment you stop giving, the moment you see through the act, they turn on you. They paint you as the villain. They tell others how you wronged them. They move to the next target. Seventh, the unrepentant rebel. Finally, the person who knows better but refuses to do better. They've been taught, warned, corrected, but they don't care. They choose their destructive path. Nothing you say or do changes their mind. The unrepentant person isn't ignorant. They're defiant. They know what's right but prefer what's wrong. When you try to help, they nod and smile and agree. But the moment you turn away, they return to old ways. This is hardest to let go because you see their potential. You see what they could become. So you keep hoping, believing this time will be different. But it never is. The unrepentant person must want to change until that desire comes from within. All the help in the world makes no difference. You can't want their healing more than they do. You can't fight for their freedom harder than they fight. If you try, you'll exhaust yourself while they stay the same. So what do we do with this? Become cold and indifferent. Stop helping altogether. No. We learn discernment. We learn to see the difference between someone struggling and someone stuck, between someone needing a hand up and someone wanting a free ride. We learn to see clearly without judgment, but without illusion. True compassion isn't enabling. Sometimes true compassion means stepping back, allowing people to face their choices' consequences. Because often through difficulty, through hardship, through hitting bottom, people finally wake up. When you help the right people, you see fruit. When you pour into good soil, you see growth. But when you give to those not ready, who won't change, who only use and drain you, all you see is waste. Your energy is precious. Your time is finite. Your resources are limited. You must be wise where you invest them. Not everyone deserves your help. That isn't cruelty. That is wisdom. So ask yourself today, who am I helping that I should let go? Who am I rescuing that needs to fall? Who am I enabling that needs to face their own consequences? When you find the answer, have the courage to step back. Not with anger, not with resentment, but with understanding that sometimes the most loving thing is allowing someone to experience the full weight of their own choices. Because in the end, you cannot save anyone. You can only point the way. Whether they walk that path or not is entirely up to them.